How to make the most of your university experience. Now, I'm just wrapping up my undergrad, and that is a question that has been at the top of my mind. And I figure it's probably a question that a lot of other people ask themselves at whatever stage they are in their university career. So I decided to ask some of my professors what they thought about the university experience and some common mistakes that people make. These are all professors who have taught me at one point or another, and they have all held high roles for many, many years at the University of Toronto. So it's safe to say they know a thing or two about the undergrad experience. So now for the first question, what do they think is so valuable about university?
The ability to look at people, problems, things, events from a multitude of perspectives. That is a transferable skill. No matter where you go, you need to be able to do that. Students are all of a sudden in a classroom with people from all over the world, people who have different opinions, different value systems. All of those things is really, really important. It really actually helps you grow as a person.
Best part of an undergraduate experience, it's almost like a step into the independence of adulthood in a way. And so you've got 4 years, you're studying, but to just develop yourself to become much more rounded in all these other ways that aren't not necessarily directly related to the classroom. So when I think back to my undergraduate years, there were 3 or 4 maybe courses that were memorable. But what I do remember are the extracurricular activities I did. It was the friendships I made. It was the connections I made with some of the professors.
And that's what I remember the most, is meeting so many different people in one place that I wouldn't have had the opportunity otherwise.
Now, I have a pretty similar opinion. For me, it wasn't so much the hard skills that I picked up in university that I think I'll take away, but more so those connections and those experiences that helped build my personality to being one that is a little more outgoing, a little more able to do certain things than I was before. Also, at least in the business and technology degree that I am in, I picked up a lot of problem solving and being willing to push through adversity when you didn't have a concrete set of steps ahead of you. That was something that really helped me in all aspects of my life. Pushing yourself out of that comfort zone is so important, and Professor Caraway said something really great about it.
Going and confronting an anxiety-inducing situation doesn't feel good. I get it, but it doesn't mean you can't do it. You just have to push through it. The reward for doing that, particularly if you're thinking about grad school or having assistance down the road for professional development, the reward is worth the cost.
Now, what about some common mistakes that students make throughout their studies?
Don't think of it as some sort of formula of I'm going to input this particular course into this little machine and then it's going to spit out a job for me on the other end. It doesn't work that way. Take a course because it sounds interesting to you. Take a course that sounds terrifying because I can't imagine doing this or learning this, and I don't think I'll be good at it. Take it anyway. Have a couple of moments like that in your undergraduate career where you're pushing your own boundaries and stepping outside of them for a second and take some risks. Find the courage to do it. You learn more about yourself at the margins when you go take a weird art history course or a women and gender study course, something that's not part of your core curriculum, but that's where you oftentimes find yourself. It's at the margins, not at the core.
And that was a point that Professor Bowen definitely agreed on.
There is so much opportunity to learn outside the classroom. And I mean, thinking of students and tuition and all the money and the time, the blood, sweat, and tears, then you are really shortchanging yourself if you don't take the opportunity. When you're so focused, you don't slow down and kind of hear what else is going on. And there could be something there that leads you down a pathway that you never would have thought. You need to leave yourself open to those encounters. So to not do that is a mistake, especially at this time in your life. It's a luxury to have the time to write something and think about it and play around with it and revise it. And so take advantage of that luxury of time to do these things.
Now for Professor Szegedy, it was all about connections.
I remember some students in one of my 4th year classes, and it was winding down near the end of the term, and they told me that they hadn't made any friends in the 4 years. It seems so sad to me that you spend 4 years of your life somewhere and you didn't make any connection, because those bonds can be quite strong as well. I mean, many of us know friends that we made as undergrads. And the challenge there, though, of course, you got to put yourself out.
I think those are really great pieces of advice and mistakes to avoid. For myself, one thing that I failed on early on in university is I had too rigid of a plan for what I wanted to do. I really wanted to come in and do computer science and only really thought of that. And as a result, it blinded me from different options. In order to get into the degree that I'm now in and that I finished, I needed to take an extra summer. I had to do some impromptu self-reflection that I wouldn't have had to do if I didn't have such a rigid mindset. If you want to learn a little bit more about that story and how you can avoid having such a rigid mindset and potentially picking the wrong major, you can click on this video right here. Also, I would love to know, now that you've heard the professors and what they have to say, is there anything that you will change differently or that you wish you changed throughout your university career? Drop them in the comments as well. If you three are watching, I want to thank you for being part of this project. And please, if you're anyone else, drop a comment below showing them some love. But that's all I have for today. My name is Isaiah, and I hope that you keep improving. Take care.
What choice do you have? You need a certain grade to get into graduate school. You want to be lawyers or doctors or whatever career path students have. Where it matters less is in employment.